So today we're going to be replacing the fuel injectors on a 2008 Honda Fit. As you can see, the injectors are actually looped around inside here. So in order to take the fuel injectors out, you have to take all of this out. Give yourself access. The air intake, it has two screws right here, there and there, and then we're going to loosen up this clamp and this whole unit will slide off. We'll be taking this plastic cover off, these screws just unhook, then we have two more bolts right there. This plastic piece will come off, and then there's a plastic air intake manifold right here. We're going to be taking this off as well. You'll be taking off these screws right here, these two bolts, and then there are 4 bolts that we will be taking off from this side, and then there is also you can see my finger. This is the tricky one. You gotta take this one off right here. Now would be a good time to change out your air filter as well, because this guy has seen better days. And I guess if that's all you really wanted to watch the video for, then congratulations, you're done. Enjoy the rest of your day. If not, let's get started. Okay, the nuts for the air cleaner are a 10mm. Now that clamp, you can actually get it off with a 7/32 if the Phillips is all stripped out on it. Okay, so this comes off in one whole unit. The Phillips that I'm referring to is that guy right there. It's pretty hard to turn. I didn't have a metric socket that was small enough to fit, so I went and found that a 7/36 will fit just good enough to go ahead and get that off. The top caps are 10mm as well. I really don't think you're helping, pork chop. Okay, now you are on the engine. Make sure your cat is clear when taking your engine apart, as not to leave any pieces of the cat inside the engine when you put it back together. After that, you go ahead and lift it off. So these are our 3 bolts that you need to take apart, and then the 3 nuts right here. Then on the back side, you're going to want to take this hose off. We're going to need I believe, disconnect this wire connector. We have these 2 bolts here, and then like I said, there's a tricky one here in the back that my finger is pointing on right there. top and bottom bolts. Top bolts, bottom nuts are actually a 12 millimeter. So that's what you're going to need to take those off. These top bracket bolts are a 10 millimeter. Oh, buddy. That was not good. Alright, so these four right down here, they are a 12 millimeter. Alright, one more piece. Make sure to keep an eye out to make sure your seal's pretty good still. Take a peek in there. Everything looks okay. Okay, next up we have to go ahead and take this manifold off. We have a nut right there, a nut right there. You have to take this bolt off right here. I already took this bolt off right here. You'll need to take that one out. It is a 10 millimeter. And then you can barely see it, but right under here, right where my screwdriver is going, there's a bolt right there. And then there's one on the opposite side. Let's see if I can find it. It's just below right there where my screwdriver is touching. So we got 4 more bolts to take off, and then we can take off this manifold. So for the most part, I've been able to use my little 1/4 inch ratchet, but I think I'm just going to go and upgrade to my 3/8. There's one directly in the middle. Alright, that was the last bolt. There's a little notch right here. What you do is you just put that guy in there. You just have to loosen it up. It is a tight fit. There's no way I can get a camera angle in, but it's off. We can start on the fuel injectors. As you can see, there's the middle bolt right there. We got a gasket here. Let's see, there's the other side bolt. and the other side bolt, and then here's the nuts with the studs. So this is your fuel rail. Go ahead and disconnect the harnesses. Let's see, and then we'll try to pull the rail here. So slide them off the metal tabs. Go ahead and disconnect them. So you have a wiring harness for this guy, this plug-in. You have two plug-ins for over here, which are these two. Give a quick check. They all look pretty clean. We'll take off these two nuts right here. Let's see, what size are these? Those are probably 10s. Yep. There we go. Alright, I got the fuel injectors pulled out here. This is what we're looking at. The fuel line is still connected to this bolt right here. So I think if I take that out, I can go ahead and kind of swing this guy over a little bit better. But what I forgot to do was I was going to blow all the dirt and contamination off of the shelf right here, and I pulled them out without even thinking about it. But you can see that my rags right here, you can see them through the injector hole right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use some of this throttle body and air intake cleaner and spray it all out, get all that stuff out of there, and then we can get around to pulling those O-rings and replacing the injectors. Alright, next up we're going to start removing the injectors. There will be a little bit of pressure. Yeah, there's just more drop than I figured. So here's our old injector. The O-ring still looks pretty good. Yeah. The O-ring looks good. Sometimes you'll get lucky and if the O-ring is cracked and letting in air or letting out the leaking, you can just buy just the O-rings and you can get away with that. But we'll go ahead, the pressure's been drained off, and we'll go ahead and pull the other four in total, and we'll pop in the new ones. Well, at least I know where that one fell. So these are the clips that I'm sliding off. This is the part number for the brand new ones. Let's see. And here's the brand new one. Now when installing these guys, you're going to want to lube up that O-ring. So we're just going to rub up a little bit of motor oil on it and then slide them in. Alright, now just times that by 3. For these fuel injectors and these clips, you have these slots right here inside, and they slide right in like that. This top part's facing up, and there's these little tabs on the rail that will hold it into place. So this one right here, it's just a little bit crooked. So if we go around here, wiggle it, there we go. It's all nice and straight now. And these guys can actually move just a little bit. See how this one's like a little off? You can wiggle this guy to the left. There we go. So yeah, you know your fuel injector's in place. When you see this, there's a little black plastic tab that goes right in between where the rail hooks in. Alright, great news everyone. I found my spacer that I dropped. It fell in to that infinite void of a little engine, and I think I found it wedged up against the block and the AC compressor, but I couldn't tell. So found one part. I'm still missing that bolt that I dropped in the back, and I have no idea if I'll ever find that, but we're gonna go ahead and start putting everything back together. I'm gonna slide these in, secure them down, and then I'm gonna start putting on the manifold and everything like that. I'm gonna kind of clean it up as I go. What do you mean I wasn't filming whenever I put this in? Alright guys, the best way to put that middle bolt in, make sure it's nice and snug. I shoved a piece of electrical tape into my socket here, and then I just wedged that bolt in and snuck it in. Okay, it's on. I got all my nuts cinched down, one down there. I got my wiring harness back on. This bolt right here, man, that is a booger to put back on. So take your time with that one and don't drop it. Speaking of drop stuff, I found my bolt. I was reaching in there, feeling around, and finally I heard it drop down the rest of the way to the floor. So now I can go ahead and I'm gonna wipe some of this off right here. Your 4 bolts right here. That's what the backside. Be sure to clean this guy out. I wiped it down, so it should be fairly still clean. And then we'll put the air intake back on, and the air box back on, and we'll go from there. Stay tuned. Alright, so we have the top part of our manifold on. Remember, these were 3 bolts right here with this little sandwich bracket. So you have your 3 bolts right there, and then you have your 3 nuts down here. And then don't forget you have a hose that's still attached, your 2 brackets that hold on your wiring harness, your nut in the back right there. Then you have your 4 bolts right here on each side. So there's the 2, there's the bottom 2, and there is on this throttle body a alignment pin, a little plastic pin on this side, so that'll help line up. So make sure you pay attention to that. All right, we're going to put the air box on, and then we're going to try it out. All right, so we got everything buttoned up. We tightened up our screw here. Remember, that's a 7/32 socket that does the best job. We checked all our clamps, made sure everything was still back on, nice and tight. We put on our 2 bolts that hold on our entire airbox housing. We just changed the air filter, so that should be good. Make sure you verify all your plugs here. Make sure they're all plugged in, hose is done. Just give it a once over. So I say that's a success. All right, well, thanks for watching.